About a year ago, I made a video talking about my weight and talking about my body insecurities and also my eating disorder. It was a kind of come to Jesus moment that I had, kind of confronting my delusions about my weight gain. And it was intensely emotional for me to film, and it was very vulnerable. And I had a hard time figuring out if I even wanted to make it or if I wanted to publish it. And since I made it about a year ago, I've oscillated between putting it on private and then putting it on public. Right now it's public because I'm a little less insecure and ashamed of it, but at the time I was really embarrassed about everything. And I really thought now is the time. It's been over a year and a half. I kind of want to pick up that discussion that I started and continue it and talk about what's happened since that video was filmed regarding my weight and my body insecurities and everything that I discussed in that video. I kind of want to continue that conversation. This conversation is very vulnerable for me, and I know that other people have some vulnerabilities and insecurities of their own. So if you feel like this is too heavy of a topic for you to handle, I'll see you in the next one. But with that being said, let's jump into it. Hi y'all, Happy New Year. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. I know I did. I really enjoyed the break and I hope you did as well. And I kind of just want to jump right into it. I'm sure you just saw the intro. This is going to be kind of a different video. I don't really do a lot of just like unscripted conversations. I usually have a lot of like notes and things like that, but this time I just kind of have like a few notes and I really just want to have a frank and honest conversation about my weight loss journey and what's happened with my weight over the last year to year and a half. So I just kind of want to jump right into it. And the way I want to structure this video is there were 3 major weight loss attempts that I've had over the past year and a half, and I've kind of segmented them off, and I want to talk about them each individually and what happened during each phase of that journey, and just share with you the ups and downs of weight loss and how I navigated them. So if that sounds good with you, let's just jump right in. Before we actually begin, I also want to give a quick disclaimer. I know I had a trigger warning at the beginning. I just want to reiterate that I'm going to be talking about weight, eating disorders, things regarding weight loss, everything like that. And I'm going to get into some specific numbers. So if that's triggering to you, please just move on and I will see you in the next one. And another disclaimer I want to add is that I am not a professional. These are just things that I've done, things I've observed, how I have kind of like anecdotally gone through my weight loss journey. Please consult a physician or a specialist or a nutritionist if you yourself want to diet or do any kind of weight loss programming. I'm not an expert. I'm not even a fitness trainer. I just am someone who is an avid fitness enjoyer, and this is just my journey. So please take everything I say with a grain of salt. Okay, let's start from the beginning, and I feel like I can't properly talk about the weight loss journey without talking about the weight gain. And like I mentioned in the opening, I kind of like already had a video that went into this and what happened during that time period, but I kind of want to reiterate what happened and just kind of give you some context for everything I'm about to say. So to begin with, I have never been skinny with quotations, whatever that means to you. I've always been a little bit bigger. I feel like when I was younger, I was always in the like 98th percentile and then the 99th growth percentile. So I've never been like skinny, but there was a time in my life where I was a weight that I feel very comfortable with being at. And it's different for every person, but I felt like I was very comfortable at that weight. And I won't disclose what that weight is because I don't want anyone to be like, I don't know, comparisons, thief of joy. Anyway, I was at that weight and I felt comfortable. So I just thought it was important to preface that, like, I have never been that slim. It's never been a reality for me. But again, I was at a weight that I was very happy with. And that weight, like, was pretty consistent for the time I turned 18 on. I went to college. I didn't gain the freshman 15 like a lot of other people do. I went through the pandemic and didn't gain like the 20 pounds that some other people did, which is fine. That's natural, comfortable weight that you gain because you were trying to comfort yourself. I'm not trying to say anything about other people's weight. This is strictly about me. But I had never gained that weight that you're supposedly like putting on during these major life events. I was always pretty consistent at a weight that I felt comfortable at, and that suited my body really well. I had been pretty consistent up until the summer of 2021. And that summer, I was just going through it. I feel like there was a lot going on in my life and I was just unhappy. There was just things that I just was like, it was all building up and culminating. And so I was seeing a therapist at that time and I was seeing a nutritionist for my eating disorder. There was a lot going on. And my therapist, along with my medical provider, recommended me going on a SSRI called Lexapro, which a lot of people are very familiar with. Lexapro is a drug that can help you kind of like ease your anxiety and make you just kind of feel better. There's a lot more science that goes into it. I am not a doctor, like I said, but it is an SSRI, and I know that it alters the brain chemistry that goes on and gives you a lot more serotonin because I was depressed during that time. And I feel like I needed it. At that time, I definitely needed it. I'm not saying that like you should completely not go on any type of SSRI or any type of drug that's supposed to help you because you're worried about weight gain. That is not true. You should always prioritize your mental health and everything regarding your well-being. And if you're in a really dark place, those drugs can be really important. So I don't want to say that that's like something that was bad. It just, for me, was reacting not in the best way. I feel like during that summer, I was not feeling like my symptoms were relieved, even though I'd started like Lexapro in March of that year. So by mid-June or July, I was still feeling pretty depressed and pretty anxious and all these things. So I was like, it's not working. And then the culmination of all of that is that I went to the OBGYN or the doctor, some doctor in September. And not only was I not feeling the effects of these SSRIs that were supposedly helping my mental health and my mood, the doctor was really blunt with me. She looked me in my eyes and she said, "Oh, I see that you've gained like 25 pounds. And so the doctor came out and was like, "You've gained 25 pounds. And I was like, whoa, hold on. Like, what are you talking about? I've been seeing a doctor consistently. And the doctor I'd been seeing consistently for eating disorder purposes and things to help me kind of not only manage the Lexapro, but just kind of like help me in general. It was a doctor that I actually kind of like this. They do blind weighing, so you can opt out of seeing the weight on the scale. And then they won't even discuss it with you because they're trying to help you recover from an eating disorder. And kind of people who have disordered thought patterns regarding eating and their weight and body dysmorphia don't really need to hear their weight information. However, I feel like it really hit me all of a sudden because I wasn't seeing that. I wasn't weighing myself because I was trying to heal and recover from an eating disorder. And then I also was like not being told this by my doctor because they were just like, "Oh, we don't want to tell you because you're, again, healing." And so all of a sudden I go to this doctor who is not an eating disorder specialist or someone who is not aware of my history, and them just coming out and saying like, "Oh, you've gained 25 pounds was more than shocking. It rocked my world, and I was devastated, to say the least. And I was devastated because at that time I had been on Lexapro for like 4 months. The timeline's a little muddled, but it was anywhere from 4 to 6 months. In that time period, I had gained 25 pounds. And I was like overwhelmed by that information because I was like, what do you, like, there's no way. And she informed me of something that I was not aware of. And I could have done my own research and been my own advocate, but I was not aware of the fact that Lexapro's side effects is that it causes you to just like gain weight for some patients, or it can cause you to kind of like crave more carb, high fatty foods. That's what she said. And I was not aware of that. I was not made aware of that. It's something that, like, looking back, I wish I had known, but it's also like, okay, the people who were helping me throughout that journey were like, oh, we're trying to heal you. And that's part of the problem as well, is that, like, in their minds, that weight gain was like, oh, you're reaching this natural, healthy plateau of where you should be because you've had an eating disorder for so long that, like, your hunger cues, you've been restricting. It's like all these things. They thought that that was like where I was like naturally meant to be. But I just knew that I had had periods of my life where I was like without as many disordered thoughts and did not engage in those disordered behaviors. And I was like pretty steady. Like, my weight has not really fluctuated. It did not fluctuate 25 pounds. And I knew that that was not the natural, like, maintenance weight that my body would love to be at. And I was shocked. And genuinely, I went from, and here's where the numbers come in. I went from, at the time, I think I was like 145-ish. 145 to 150 was like my sweet spot, which is perfect for me. It's where I feel the healthiest. And at that time, I was up to 175. So that's when I stopped and I made that video that I made the first time. It's public if you want to go back and look at it. And I felt like I had the rug pulled out from under me because I was not aware that this was happening. And I was like, gosh, I wish I had known, because then I would have stopped it. And I felt like, looking back on it, I feel like I was also kind of delusional about it, because I noticed that, like, my clothes weren't fitting well. I noticed that, like, I had more stretch marks that I didn't have before. It's like, it's obvious. 25 pounds, over 25 pound weight gain is a lot to gain in such a quick amount of time. And I did notice the signs, but I was like, there's no way, like, it didn't process in my head. And also I was in a dark space, so it just like didn't process. So I made that video, and here is the first attempt from, I would say, September of 2021 until like December of that year. So not very long. It was not a sustained effort. I did not put a lot of work into this first attempt. So let's discuss the first attempt to lose weight. So during this first attempt, I kind of felt like it was going to be a breeze, because if you've ever tried to lose weight before, if you even make slight changes to your diet and exercise during that first initial period, the weight is just going to start to fall off. Initially, I think I lost like anywhere from 5 pounds, like a little bit more than 5 pounds. It was like that. It was easy because it was just kind of like making easy changes to the diet. And I was kind of like under the impression that since the first 5 was so easy, it was going to be a cakewalk from that point on. And it genuinely wasn't. And I think that like that first 5 to 10 pounds, depending on who you are, it might be even more, is kind of like fool's gold. You feel like it's worth something, and it makes you feel like it's going to be an easy walk in the park, and it really isn't. And I feel like that's where I kind of was like, oh, it'll be a no-brainer. I don't really have to put that much work into it. I won't put that much thought into it. And I didn't. And so for those 2 months, that's when I started Orange Theory. There's also a video, and you can tell in that video that there is like a lot of excess weight. And compared to, because I've done 3 different videos on Orange Theory, and compared to where I am now versus then, I can see a huge difference. But at the time, I was like, oh, like that's how my body's always looked, which is just not true. And so I started Orange Theory. I started eating a little bit healthy, but I still hadn't changed a lot of my habits. And I just thought, oh, it's going to just come naturally, because like I was just under the impression that that's how it was going to happen. And I was really wrong. During this first attempt, I was also really relying heavily on exercise instead of exercise and diet. Like, I made some changes to my diet, but I was really just focused on exercise, over exercising, and I just really relied heavily on exercise. And it is not the only thing. Exercise alone will not cause you to lose weight. And so going into 2022, I still weighed about 170, and so I was like nowhere near. But I thought, again, it was a lot of like delusional thinking of like, oh, this is great, I'm doing a great job, like I feel like I've lost so much weight. I would do that thing of like, oh, I'm just bloated, oh, I have water weight, you know, that like Nikocado avocado, oh, it's just water weight. Which is not true, which is fine. It's fine if you're feeling healthy and happy with your body and satisfied, it's fine. I wasn't thinking realistically about my body. So take with that what you will. So in January 2022, I kind of had like this frank conversation with myself about like, okay, you're still in the 170s and you're nowhere near where you were like less than a year ago in the 150s, 140s. And we kind of need to make more of a change. We can't just rely on exercise. It's not working. You've gone months with just trying to rely on Orange Theory or running or all of these other things. So like we have to like ratchet it up. And so during this time, I really felt like I wanted to make a change. And so I actually started to commit to a diet, and it was freaking hard. It was really difficult. I feel like the diet was more or less like a little too restrictive, and I feel like that's a pitfall that a lot of people go through when they're first starting to lose weight, is just like this like really restrictive diet of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna restrict everything. And I feel like that's not a sustainable way or weight loss plan to like lose weight. You have to kind of integrate things into your diet that you would normally eat, because it's not going to be sustainable if you just cut everything out that you ever loved. But I committed to a diet, and it was really difficult. And during that time period, I would say from January 2022 until the summer of 2022, I was on and off again about being really strict in adhering to a diet, or just kind of like being a little bit more relaxed, because I was trying to like still be intuitive and still trying to heal from an eating disorder and all these other things. Like I was torn in a million directions. But during that time period, during the second weight loss attempt, when I really stuck to nutrition, and that's the key for this second weight loss attempt. The first one, I over exercised and really heavily relied on exercise instead of nutrition, and only lost about 5 pounds. During the second chunk of weight loss attempt, I really focused on my nutrition as well as continuing my exercise. And during this period of time, I lost about 10 pounds. So going into the summer of 2022, I weighed about like 160. So it was a pretty good, like at that point, I'd lost about 15 pounds. And that's pretty significant for like, I think it was like about 5 months-ish, which is pretty good. I mean, I feel like I was losing in a sustainable manner and really focusing on nutrition. But that's where I hit a roadblock in summer 2022. Summer of 2022, I would like to call this phase, these 3 months from like late May into early August, I would like to call this a plateau. So this was like my, I guess, second plateau if you count like during my first weight loss attempt, there was a real plateau there as well after the initial 5 pounds, but this was like my real like prolonged plateau. And if you've ever lost weight or attempted to, you know that like you can plateau pretty easily. So it's like up and down, and then it's like a straight steady line, and you're like, I'm trying my hardest, I feel like I'm in a calorie deficit, what's going on? And so during this time, I was just kind of trying to enjoy life. This was in between graduating from a program I was a part of into getting a job. During this time, I also got COVID. I was just like really out of whack, and I also was drinking a lot. I wasn't really during that time like keeping track of like what I was eating, and I wasn't really committed to losing weight, which is fine. By the way, it's fine to have a plateau if you're in a weight loss journey and you're like, I have a few things coming up like the holidays, or I have like a big vacation planned. I don't know, just enjoy your life. Don't count calories for a little bit. You're always able to get back on the horse. And that's what the biggest lesson I learned during the second plateau was, is that even though I was like having the time of my life and having fun, I was like not taking care of my body really well. But that's okay. I eventually got back on it, and I don't really regret that time I spent because I was having fun and having a good time. So for those like 4 months, 3.5 kind of, I just kind of put weight loss to the side. And you know what? I don't regret it, but it was a plateau, and that is just the realities of weight loss. Plateauing is a part of it, and it's going to suck stuck for a little while, but you can't consistently be like, every day I'm losing weight. There has to be some bit of a plateau. And if you get to your maintenance weight, maintenance is a plateau. So that's something I learned from this plateau and what I kind of continued moving forward. And then we go into the third and like kind of final attempt. I wouldn't say final because I'm still in it, and obviously there's so much left of my life that I could go through many different other phases of like weight loss, weight journey. Anyway, so this started August 2022-ish, and I had recently moved. I had recently just gotten a new job, and so I was like kind of looking for a fresh start. And since that plateauing, I was like, dang, I really want to get to a certain weight. And at that time when I was like, let's do this, I was still at like 160-ish. And so I just started to renew myself into my nutrition and making sure to count my calories and making sure that I was like expending more than I was putting in. Like the total daily expenditure was more than the calories I was ingesting, eating at a calorie deficit, but still, again, eating intuitively so that I was eating dessert, I was eating snacks, I was eating carbs. I have a video that I'm going to put out, which is like more in depth of what I was doing and what I was eating, but I was still eating things. I was eating what I wanted to. I was going out to eat. I was still drinking occasionally. I really do think that cutting back on drinking was a huge part of my weight loss success, but I was still doing the things I love to do. And during that time, I lost 10 pounds. From August of 2022 until now, I've lost about 10 pounds, which is incredible. I feel like I am feeling the strongest I've ever been, feel the greatest. I still have some weight loss goals that I have for this new year that I feel like I want to talk about, but also I felt like during this time period, I really hit my stride of weight loss. And even though I was like doing things and restricting myself, I felt like I was eating enough to the point where I was like, oh, I'm not starving, which is important. You shouldn't feel like you're starving or like you're dying for that next meal or all you're thinking about is food, because that's disordered. There's a very fine line between restricting in a healthy and intuitive way and disordered restrictive behaviors. And I feel like I kind of verge on that. And I feel like that's something you have to be aware of, is that like if your every single waking hour is consumed with like weight loss, eating, your next meal, calories, that's when it's like, let's pause, let's hit that pause button, because your thoughts are disordered. You're not thinking about life. You're thinking about food too much, arguably. So I feel like just being aware during this time period of like what is healthy restricting and what is unhealthy restricting was really important to me. And I feel like I kind of navigated it the best I could. It's like, yeah, in the last few months, have I felt like there was some plateaus? Have I gained some weight back because of the holidays? Yeah, of course. But it's also like at the end of the day, it's like I feel like I've really made strides to get to a place where I was a year, 2 years ago, like in summer of 2021. And I feel great, and I really am proud of myself for all the accomplishments I've made. Regardless of the weight loss, I'm proud of all the things in my life that I've accomplished. But the weight loss is an important part to me, and I feel really happy and healthy, and I'm back to the place where I was that I felt like my happiest and healthiest. So I guess like in encapsulating all of that, I started this weight loss journey when I weighed about 175 pounds, and it probably was even more than that, to be very frank and honest. But yeah, it was around there. It was in the 170s. And right now I weigh like 152. And I am so incredibly proud of myself. It was a long, sustainable weight loss. It was not like a fast fad diet. I feel like it's a very maintenance heavy, like making sure that this is a sustainable weight loss plan and program, that I'm not just kind of like doing it and then like going to like go back to a diet that's unhealthy. No, I just like incorporated healthier eating and going on walks and all these other things. And again, I want to like go more in depth on that, but that's just how I did it. I made it sustainable. I made it work for me, and I'm proud of myself. And so you might be thinking, where does that leave us? What are we going to do? I briefly mentioned that I have some weight loss goals for this future, but everything on top of this is like gravy. I am proud of myself. If I stayed this weight for the rest of my life, I'd be happy. Some people might be like, oh, that's still overweight. That's fine. That's fine. I don't prescribe to those labels. And even if I did, so what? I feel like I'm at a beautiful weight. I love my body. I feel like my body does so much for me, and I am proud of it. So I have some weight loss goals, but I won't disclose those right now because I don't want to like preemptively like pressure myself into them. If they happen, they happen, but that's just what I'm going to say. But that is my weight loss journey. That's where I'm at right now. I feel like it's been wild. I feel like this channel has kind of like, it started when I was at my heaviest and I was in like a period where I didn't realize that like I was at my heaviest. I just like kept seeing myself on camera and I was like, I feel like this isn't what I used to look like. And I feel like this has been a journey with the channel of like me losing weight. Just kind of like, I haven't really drawn that much attention except a few videos to it, but now I just like wanted to come out and talk about it. And yeah, so that is all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope if you are on a weight loss journey, you share it below and just talk to me about it. I'd love to hear your stories, and I will see you in the next one.